Hi everyone, I'm Tam, and we are back with another My Experiences. Today we will talk about regrets. I definitely have regrets. I think anyone who's been genuine with themselves do. And a regret, from my perspective, is something that could have been is something that could have been done drastically differently, so you have a different outcome. So, for example, I walked down, you know, path number one instead of path number two, so something entirely differently. Um, Not the same as wanting to do a better job. Wanting to do a better job is not the kind of regret that I'm talking about. The regret that I'm talking about is doing an entirely different job. So, so two different things. For what I can tell, if you're on a sincere and really fulfilling path, you want to do a better job each and every time because it's just kind of motivating to see the end result. So that's a different discussion. That's more of a perfectionist kind of mindset, not really a regret. That's a different type of thing. Anyway, so from my experience, I definitely have um, walked down a few paths that I know to be wrong, and so on. And I think the reason why I did that is because I couldn't see another way out, or I couldn't see things clearly enough to, you know, take the different route. Because, for example, your beliefs may be in the way of you taking action. Because your awareness, what you're kind of like, what you kind of know is happening around you, is an ocean so very far apart away from your beliefs, stuff that you're kind of like, I guess, trained to by society um, to kind of like, I guess, your values. For example, for example, yeah, you must always, value your parents or etc. Or family is always number one, and that's like an ocean away from beliefs. And your beliefs to your action is only like a stepping stone. So your beliefs is like a gate guardian between your awareness and your action. Sometimes it's very hard to believe in certain things, so you don't really take action to do anything about it. For example, let's say, let's say let's say one of your parents is, is a one of your parents was abused by kind of her parents. So now she's kind of like perpetuating the chain, and perhaps she's like, she's like taking her stuff out of you. She's like calling you like names, or saying things about you. So she's like taking her, she's using you as a way to work out her own problems, or your dad, or your dad was like, was kind of like, I guess, put down by his own parents for not being, I guess, good enough as a son, and now he's kind of a alcoholic to kind of work out his own problems. However, because you're his son, he sees you as a, has a way to, I guess, also work out his problems. So whenever he gets drunk, he kind of like kicks you around a little bit. They're like, oh, you gotta be better than that, son. Like he kind of does it in a way that's like that's like a good intention, but really he's just kind of like taking stuff out of you, kind of just beating you up, because he can't resolve his own issues internally. So you may be aware of that. However, society tells you must, always, family is number one. So and so on. Family is very important. So you may kind of just like, stick with it because, your beliefs is that, family is number one. This is just how it is. Your family has its own problems. It's just what it is. We must, stay strong together and so on. And then, like years go down the line, and then you realize, oh wow, I could have actually lived a better, happier life with other people who actually bring me joy, and not, not be around people like this who, yes, I understand where they're coming from. However, it doesn't really, make things right for me. Because I have things that I want to do myself too, and spend my time with the people who actually, bring me joy and happiness. And so unless your beliefs change, you never take the next step, which is to, sometimes wrap up that chapter and move on. So Yes, yes, I'm aware of everything. Yes, I'm aware of my situation and the quirks involved with it. However, my beliefs, the stuff that I'm kind of raised with and are told to be true always, kind of stops me from taking the action that I know I should be taking for my own kind of benefit and health. Because this is a very toxic situation that I know to be true. Like, I don't want to be around here. I'm aware of it. I know. Like it's not like a black and white situation. This is just exactly what it is. However, my beliefs are in a way, and I can't really you know bridge this gap between my awareness and my belief because it's like an ocean, and then from my belief to action is only a stepping stone. So I can't really take that step because I haven't really believed that to be true. So now I'm stuck in a situation that is of no benefit to me, and really like the people involved with it as well, because nobody wants to be kind of negative. However, they may not be able to change course because they're so deep in it. It's kind of hard for somebody to change, to admit their own kind of guilt and wrongdoing, because once you're so deep in your own hole, you're kind of screwed. It's very hard to climb out. Like um, yeah, each hole, no matter how deep, you can definitely climb out of. However, the deeper the hole is, the less motivated you are to do so because it's very hard. The deeper the hole, the less motivated you are to climb out. Yes, you can still climb out of it. However, the motivation is kind of just lacking because the sun becomes so far away you can't really see the light, and some people just continue the way they are, and it's not really the way you want it to be. But anyway, so the point is that from my experiences that I have so far, I definitely see a thread of a pattern here, and that's really being aware of certain things. Yet, however, my belief, were kind of like a barrier, and I couldn't see exactly what was going on, so I took no action, and now and I guess walk the path that I'm less happy with. Now that I look back at it, less happy with. And I guess the solution is not to be kind of positive or kind of negative or pessimistic or optimistic, because those are just slices of reality. The solution is to see things exactly as they are. Sometimes it's seeing things, seeing through your own beliefs. Your belief system that you kind of raised with, or whether or not you are aware of it to begin with. Sometimes it's just so ingrained into you. You kind of just react to it. For example, like, oh, you was always like yeah, you was always value your parents, like your mom was always like nice and nourishing. Like, it's not always the case, because some people definitely for sure have like terrible, terrible terrible parents, or for example their environment is also terrible. So it's not always the case that this is always true. Your beliefs is similar to like it's similar to kind of a presumption. Usually it's true, mostly may not be true for everyone. So anyway, so the way to live a more meaningful life is to be more realistic with the scenario. The worst case for being realistic is that you overshoot or undershoot, and then you kind of just self correct. So your expectation and what you're kind of like understanding and seeing understanding and seeing through your experiences gradually kind of like gradually becomes more kind of in line. So you don't make you don't make a lot of mistakes that you will regret. The mistakes you do make are genuine, sincere mistakes, which is realistic. Because you can't expect to make zero mistakes. That's just not possible for anybody. And so your mistakes becomes more realistic. Like, it's actually genuine, just genuine mistakes that because for example, you were not aware of certain things and so on, and your top is based on your actual your success is based on your actual understanding of how things are, and the data, your experiences to kind of back up that up.